Okay,
Dustin, this is 7 straight matches where your opponent didn't even make it out of the second round. You got him in the first round. Can you just talk about your dominance lately?
You know, I don't know. I just go out there, and it's the same thing every time. Just as soon as I step on the mat, it's like something just clicks in my head, and it's like it's time to wrestle. You know, off the mat, I'm the goofiest guy you could be around. I like to have a lot of fun, and I think that's what keeps me motivated through a long, rigorous wrestling season is that I'm so upbeat. I like to enjoy the people I'm with, the things that I'm doing, and makes me feel young. And then, you know, when I get out on the mat, I love to scrap. I love wrestling. I've done it my whole life. And something just changes, you know. I just go out there with the mentality to absolutely just try to destroy anyone in my path because my goal this year is to be a national champ again. And, you know, I'm just trying to do everything that I can within my power to achieve the same greatness that I did 2 years ago.
What's it like being undefeated so far into the season?
It's a great feeling. I've never been undefeated. My whole wrestling career, I've never had an undefeated season. So, you know, it's going well, but, you know, you got to remember you're going to be facing, especially at nationals, you're going to be facing some of the top guys in the country. It doesn't mean anything. It's just a record. You know, for instance, when I went into the finals at nationals, after I won, that guy was undefeated. That just shows it's just a number. Anything can happen. It's wrestling, and so you kind of can't get full of yourself thinking that because you're undefeated, you're unbeatable. That's not true. That's never true with this sport. So you know, it feels good. It definitely feels good. Probably gives me a little bit of help. Maybe some other guys kind of look at that, who judge people by their records, kind of look at that and maybe may scare them a little bit or whatnot. But realistically, you got to remember that everyone's gunning for you, and you just got to go out there and do what you can to win.
When you're 29-0, every time you look at tape, you're always winning. Is it tough to find things to improve on?
Yeah. I mean, it's always tough. This is wrestling. It's especially for me. I'm like a slow learner, so it's hard to find something to you know, it's hard to improve on things. So you know, my coaches work with me on the things that need to be done. Right now, my single, I need to work on my finishes. That's probably something that most of all that I need to finish on. I get in on a lot of shots, but I have a hard time finishing them. And same thing as this evening. You know, it was hard to finish on that guy as well. So that's something I need to improve on. You know, you're never a perfect wrestler. You can never think that there's nothing new to learn, but there always is. So you just gotta watch tapes, you know, just review your matches in your head mentally and just think about the things that you need to change. And that's one of them for me is my single leg.
Before, besides your victory, Kent State had 5 victories in this match. Can you just talk about the team's success today?
We did good. You know, I've been pretty proud of our team this weekend, you know, especially against OU. They were ranked ahead of us. I don't know why. We went out there and we you know, we pretty much dominated them, and that was an awesome feeling. And then today, for us to go out and beat Clarion pretty good, you know, that's another win under our belt. That's a pretty successful one because PA's got some really tough kids, and I know Clarion, you know, they recruit a lot of their guys out of Pennsylvania, and you know, for us to have a lot of Ohio guys on our team, it's kind of like an Ohio versus PA thing there, and you know, I never want PA to win over Ohio, that's for sure. So.
Individually, how do you have to do to get ready for Central Michigan, the arch rival for Penn State?
That's going to be an interesting match, possibly fun. Central Michigan has the rowdiest fans that I know of. You know, it's fun going in there. I'd love to beat them. They've got one heck of a tough team, that's for sure. But it's going to take some. It's going to be like Tetris here, trying to beat these guys. You know, we got to go in there with the right mind, right attitude, and I think we can do it. We can get it done. We've got some good matchups. Where we can, we need to be able to take bonus points. We can't let anyone off their back, but it's going to be a fun match. I like seeing those fans get all rowdy, so go after it.
What makes their fans so rowdy?
I think the Central fans they just have so much hate, and they just feel that they're the best in the MAC always, and I think that kind of gives their fans, you know, a feeling like we're the best, we can't be beaten, and you know, it just fuels the fire for them, seeing all their guys win all the time, and I think we need to do something about that.
How would it feel to silence them if you went out there?
It'd feel awesome, you know. Central, they got some good guys on the team, but you know, I think we can take them, get right after them.
Okay, Dustin, right now you're technically the pins leader in the NCAA. I believe the Bloomsburg guy that's ahead of you in pins is redshirting. So right now you're the odds-on favorite to win the Shallows Award, which is the award for pins in the NCAA. Is that something that you look towards? And actually, one of your youth teammates, Logan Stevers, right behind you. Is that something where it might turn into a competition with Logan, or do you want to win that Shallows Award?
I don't care anything about that. I'm here to win a national title. That's all I want. I just want to get in there and get another title. I don't care about pins or anything. I just go out there and just wrestle. My coaches or somebody may tell me, go out there, we need a pin, and I just tell them, just go out there and wrestle, have fun with it, and whatever happens, happens. And that's pretty much. That's what I tell them every time, and it just ends up in a pin a lot of times. But it doesn't matter. Pins don't matter. A win's a win. This is it's wrestling. It's a tough sport. You're not always going to get a pin, and the main objective for anyone should be to win a national title. Deep down in your heart, that's what you want. You don't care about how many pins. You can have most pins and not win a national title, but people aren't going to remember you for that. So.
The Midlands final with Wilps, 4-2. You ran on a ton of single leg shots. You couldn't finish any of them. You got a reversal, and you were able to score on him on reversals and things like that. But you were able to take him down with clean takedowns.
Yeah,
What have you changed from then to now?
I've worked on finishes a little bit. I had a problem finishing on Camp Latano from Ohio State, and that's mainly when I was working on the singles. But I don't know. I guess I picked the leg up. I got to get the guy moving around a lot more. That's something that I need to work with still. But it's going to be hard to finish on a guy like Wilps. The guy has tree trunks for legs, and he's amazingly strong. It's going to be hard to finish on a guy like that. So I think maybe what I have to kind of do is, do more fakes, get him to step and lean over more, and then maybe my shots will be more successful. But yes, I was in on a lot of shots, and I didn't finish any of them. So, that's something that you just got to keep working on is my singles in the room, outside the room, just thinking about it, visualizing my matches like I was saying. So,
if the NCAA tournament was today, it would be Hernandez in your half bracket of Wyoming, and if it were, it would be 2-3 seed would be Wilps and Quentin Wright of Penn State, NCAA champ, runner-up last year, 3-time All-American. Do you look forward to that? Who you're going to have in the semifinals, or is that something you're going to look at?
I really don't even look forward to it. I don't look that far ahead. I always take it one match at a time. When that time comes, then yes, I will look forward to it. But as of now, I'm thinking about the next match. We've got Central next week. They're a top 10 team right now. That's what we need to focus on. If you kind of spread your energy out, think about all these matches, it's going to wear you out. And, we don't need that. We're coming down to crunch time in our season, so just take it one match at a time.
Thanks, Dustin.
You're good, buddy.
Get it done. I'm going out to eat.
Where are you guys going?
I'm going with my mom and my uncle.
See you. Thanks, bud. See you guys.
All right. Start with opening statement.
Totally different atmosphere than Friday. Same type of result, but different atmosphere. Quiet crowd, not as many people. I was glad our guys didn't come in with a letdown, but at the same sense, we wrestled hard, and it's a match that we wish we could have got back, but that's part of wrestling. So that's pretty much all I have to say is from my end. You guys can drill me now.
149, Carr. It seems like it's a coin flip every time Carr goes out there. He seems like a different guy each match. It doesn't seem like the same guy each match. And I don't know what you guys are, what's going on with Carr right now, but he looked average the first part of the match, bad the first part of the match on Friday. Okay, kind of the same thing again tonight, and he started surging. Wasn't able to come back and get the win tonight or today. But what do you guys got to do to get Carr where Carr needs to be 149 pounds for you?
He's just young, and he's trying to figure it all out. And like I said, in tournaments he seems to be fine because maybe he's in the bleachers, doesn't become part of the match. I think a lot of it just he gets very nervous. So we're just trying to get him used to the whole environment. Like I said, he's a freshman, so he's trying to figure it out. I think the hard part for the coaching staff is he's probably one of the most talented freshmen we've had in a long time. So it's frustrating at times, but at the same sense, it's part of what we do. We're trying to teach him to become a man, and so if you can get ready for a wrestling match, you can get ready for life after this. And that's part of what's going on right now with him. And he's one of the hardest working kids we've had in a long, long time. Tough kid. He just has moments where he just doesn't wrestle his best, and he puts so much pressure on himself to win, and he's got to learn just to relax a little bit, especially during dual meets, because you sit. I think OU's match was worse because he sat so long, and this one, he just took him a while to get going, and he never could catch up.
Can you talk about McGuire a little bit? He had a second time this weekend. He's done well. Just talk about his he got a pin.
Well, he's your typical PA kid. He's good at rolling around. He average on his feet, but if he gets it on your legs, he's going to score. At the same sense, he's good on the bottom, good on top. So he's your typical PA kid and loves to get in the scramble positions. And the kid scrambled with him, tried to ride him a little longer than he should have, and Mac ended up sticking him on his back. He was pinned for a while, so it was a good call by the ref. And like he said, he's a true freshman. Every time he gets out there, he gets a little bit better. Which we're hoping that he's one of his kids can go to the MAC tournament, just cause some noise, and hopefully steal a spot to get to the national tournament.
Post match, he said he doesn't like to defer what the coaches are telling him to defer during the match. Any reason why?
Josh does most of his coaching. I'm a big fan of it's your choice, you defer, so in the third period you have a choice of what you want. And you could see maybe the kid's real good on top, and if you choose down right off the get-go and he gets on top of you, it's a bad situation. So I'm a big fan of deferring. I let Josh and him worry about that. Josh is, his coach. I let Josh talk about it, but I didn't know he had that preference to go down right away.
Got all these fringe guys, 25 midship. When I say fringe guys, I mean guys who are going to be in the 35 to 28 position in the rankings. We take the top 33 to each way to the NCAAs in Des Moines, 2013.
Well, I think Mitchell, he's ranked 17th in one poll now, so he's gotten up there. But we do got a lot of guys. I think Witt's like 30th. I think Carr's like 32nd. Wheeler's like 29th.
Marsh.
I think Marsh should be in there somewhere, no doubt about it. We just have to keep on improving. All those kids we named, this is really, it's Mitch's first year wrestling 125 for us. It's Marsh's first year. It's Wheeler's first year wrestling for us. It's Witt's first year wrestling 197. So we got a lot of first-time guys that are wrestling for the first time as Kent State wrestlers. And then we got a lot of guys that are at different weight classes they've been in the past, which it's different getting used to it. So, like I said, I think our guys are doing as good as we can ask of them, as long as they keep on working. And I know we're tough enough, and we're a tough enough team, tough enough guys that we're going to be there at the end of the year. And that's all we have to do, just keep plugging away. It's a long season. Hopefully we can pick up some ground from now until the national tournament.
You could have 3 qualifiers. You could have 7 qualifiers. And the way I'm looking at it right
now. Yeah.
Definitely, no question about it. Would you be disappointed if you only took like 3 or 4 guys?
I think this is one of those years where, I'd be disappointed because you go into the year with such high expectations. But at the same sense, a guy like Keith Witt 3 years ago wrestled 174 for us, and now he's at heavyweight. I think we just assumed he'd go up and he'd be a guy that would qualify for the national tournament heavyweight when he's on the fringe right now. So you have to look at every weight class individually. A guy like Tommy Sass, who's beaten 3 ranked guys, I'm hoping he'll get in the fringe of being ranked. He's a 5th-year senior, but he hasn't started for us since his true freshman year. You just have to look at each person individually and hope they do the best they can. I think at the end of the day, after the conference tournament's over, you look at it and say, all right, who lost a spot? Who should have brought a spot and didn't? And then you look at the guys who stole a spot, who took a spot that shouldn't have. So that's kind of how you look at the national tournament. And we don't have last year. I knew going into it, I think we had 5 guys going into it that automatically qualified because of what they were ranked. This year isn't like that, and you can't worry about that. He's got to keep getting better.
When you look at Dustin, I think the only way that I've been talking to people, the only way I think a lot of these people can beat Dustin, whether it be Hernandez, Wyoming, Quentin Wright, Penn State, and Wilps, and even Burek of Penn. Those guys, a weird matchup for him with the Burek from Penn. But I think the only way he can lose this year is someone to pin him. All of those guys I just named, the only guy who's a pinner is Quentin Wright. Do you guys worry about that? Or are you looking forward to Quentin Wright, or is that something you don't even address that issue?
Yeah, well, Quentin Wright, him specifically, we wouldn't see him until, the only time we're going to see him is at the national tournament, and the only time we would see him in the championship round would be in the finals if things stay the way they are. Now, like I said, he's in the Big Ten. A million things could happen for him and also for Dustin, and also just in general in the rankings. Usually, you typically don't get as much movement at the upper weights as you do the littler guys after the qualifier. Are we concerned about Dustin getting pinned? I think that there's certain situations Dustin gets into that could cause a problem. But in the same sense, Dustin, last time Dustin got pinned, I think was in high school. So it's one of those things where I think he's old enough, mature enough to know what positions the bad positions are, and hopefully he'll be able to work through them.
Can anyone match his intensity? Andrew Campitano tried to in the duel. It didn't turn out so well for Andrew Campitano.
Yeah.
10-1, he just absolutely ground him into fodder, just beat him up. Is there anyone that's going to try and come out and play Dustin's game and score 15 points? Dustin will score. The match with Simez, 2-10-9 matches.
Yeah.
One of the best matches I've ever seen in college. Can anyone play that game with Dustin and beat him?
That's probably the only way you're going to be able to, unless you can catch him like you just said. I don't, unless you're going to. I think the guy from Pitt could slow the match down and try to squeak one out at the end. I think that's what they're going to try to do. I think, if you look at Dustin at the national tournament last year, he scored 10 points all the way up to the finals, and then the finals he ended up pinning the guy. And like I said, if he doesn't pin the guy, I think he would have got a 5 point. It would have been like 6 or 7 with the third period to go. And that's usually when Dustin scores most of his points because then he opens up. Usually his first period is to go in there to score, grind the guy out. Second period, he literally will try to pin you. Third period, if he doesn't think he can pin you, he's just going to score a bunch of points on you. And at that point, you're pretty tired because you fought off a bunch of turning opportunities for him. So it's just the way he wrestles. And I don't know. I haven't seen anybody in 2 years match his intensity. Dustin loves a 7-minute match. He's the king of the 7-minute match, I like to say, because in freestyle, as you've seen, is that when guys can shorten a match up and turn it into a 4-minute match, he doesn't do as well. If he turns into a 6 match, I don't know how many freestyle matches he's ever lost when he's turned into 6-minute matches. You might know more than me, but I can't think of any. The matches he loses are the ones he loses the first 2 periods because, guys can't match his intensity. They know what they need to go out and beat him in the first 2. So when it comes to collegiate, guys are going to have to come out and try to either pin him or to try to match it. I haven't seen anyone do it yet, so I don't know.
Your other shoe-in for the NCAA tournament right now, Casey Newberg. What does Casey got to do to be moved from a 12 to 16 guy to an All-American?
Well, I think right now the only I don't know. I know he's going to get to wrestle the kid from
obviously Bennett.
He'll get to wrestle Bennett in the duel, and then he'll get to see the Northern Iowa guy, the Missouri guy, and Bennett also in the conference. So because they're all there too. I think hopefully maybe he can beat one of those guys at the MAC tournament, get into the top 12 to be seeded. Once you're in the seeded rounds, then you have to either wait for an upset or he has to upset somebody. It's a pretty easy formula. Either you go there and you upset one of those top guys, or you hope someone else gets upset so you can kind of squeeze in there and you hopefully wrestle a match maybe in the All-American round with the guys not seeded and you have the opportunity to beat him. That's the recipe for him. He has to upset somebody.
He wasn't able to buy and escape the last 2 seasons. Now nobody can hold him down. He looks phenomenal. That right there, is that a testament to you guys as coaches, getting a guy like that, getting off the mat? Yeah,
like I said, 2 years ago he couldn't buy himself an escape, and now it's something we really, really worked on him with. And he's still going to struggle with a guy like Bennett because Bennett's so good. He's going to struggle with the guys. The Boise State guy, he struggled with getting away for a while. The guys that are really, really good on top, he'll struggle with. But the idea is to get 1 point before the end of the period, which he usually has. He's learning. He's gotten better every year. This is his 5th year. He's one of those kids that kind of hits a point, and he's continually gotten better. And working with Dustin again this year has gotten him even better. So hopefully by the end of the year he'll be a top 8 guy somewhere in there, and hopefully by the national tournament he can squeeze in and become an All-American. That's his goal. I think that's our goal for him.
Can you talk about the Kent State Central Michigan rivalry?
Well, it's been a good one. I think over the last 4 years we kind of split. I think we've won 2 and they've won 2, or 5 years we've won 2, they've won 3, somewhere in there. I've always said from day one that if we wanted to be a great wrestling team, we have to beat Central. And, for us to win the conference again this year, it looks like we're going to have to beat Central. They've got a really, really good dual team. And it's one of those things where we match up to them well, though. If you look at the OU match, I think we won, it's hard to look at matchups to matchups, but I think we match up to them well enough that if we could upset them, this would be a year to do that. But they're a favorite going into it. I think Stevie Mitchell has a great opportunity to get himself ranked higher. 33, they've been really inconsistent on who they've thrown out for the 1 hour weigh-in, so I don't know what they're going to do there. 49, I think Carr has the opportunity to come out and beat a guy that's been in the national tournament 3 or 4 years. Carr isn't that much different than that type of wrestler for them. Like I said, 57, we've beaten guys that they've lost to, so there's an opportunity. Caleb Mart's beaten guys that their guys lost to, so there's an opportunity. Same thing with Wheeler. It'd be great to have Casey go there at 84 and get an upset. And then Dustin, the ironic part about Central's team is Dustin, that's probably their weakest weight class is 197. I think their heavyweight's one of the bigger heavyweights. I know we've talked about it as a staff and also with Dustin about bumping him up if we needed to. So if we go into the last 3 matches, and I think we could bump Casey up possibly at 197 and wrestle potentially their worst guy and then bump Kilgore up if we had to. I think that's a formula that could work. I just don't know because their heavyweight's so big and he wrestles a little bit different than most heavyweights.
So you're saying we could see a Gerard Trice, Dustin Kilgore matchup potentially?
I'm saying if we have to do that to win, Dustin will sit here and he'll wrestle anybody. He doesn't care. I think ultimately it comes down to the coaching staff and says, all right, what's the best thing for Dustin Kilgore so we don't put him in a bad position. I mean a bad position to get hurt, just a bad position.
So why didn't you wrestle Johnson on Friday then?
We started at 74, and that it didn't make a whole lot of sense there because of everything. If we started at 25, I think that was going to be an opportunity to do that. We have a guy. We got a guy named Baxter who's beaten Wellington twice last year. We weighed him in. We started at 74, so we kept everything straight. We started at 25, and depending on how things fall, I'm a big believer that the NCAA should get rid of the draw. I think you should always start at 25. You do it at the national tournament. You do it at your conference tournament. You do it at any dual meet tournament you go to. The NWCA national duels, you start at 25. I don't know why we get to draw. I don't think it creates excitement. Unless 2 coaches say, all right, we want this to be our last match, meaning we want, that you're going to go to a tournament and the 2 best wrestlers are going to wrestle, and you want that to be your last match. It's the only time I would really understand drawing to where you start. I'm a firm believer that you start at 125 because that's how we're doing it when we prepare for the national tournament. So why wouldn't you do it for a dual meet? Tom's been that way before, but who knows what he's going to want to do this time.
So now all he's got to do is watch his press conference to know that he wants to draw.
Like I said, I think Tom. I don't think Tom's worried about Kent State right now. Like I said, right now our concern is Central Michigan because that's our next match. But ultimately, I don't think Tom Borelli's worry right now is Kent State. They got Missouri. They're probably worried about right now at this moment because that's who they're wrestling. And I think that to be a great team, you just got to keep on getting better. You can't worry about that one team in front of you. We've been trying to catch them consistently for a lot of years. I think we've closed the gap, and once again, we're behind them. So hopefully we can go next week and we can create an upset. How that happens, I don't know. But I don't think Dustin's afraid of any situation of wrestling. I know how their lineup is. I know how our lineup is. We'll see what happens from there.
What's it going to have to take the defeat Central Michigan? What are you going to do to prepare for them?
They ride real well. It seems like the refs have allowed kids to ride a lot more this year than I've ever seen. They're going to ride the heck out of us. And, when I say riding to the point where you're not looking for points, just riding to get that riding time to slow the match down. They're really, really good at slowing the pace down, making you take bad shots, and them scoring off either a re-attack or a defensive, like a front headlock series type thing. They're great at that. You talk about someone who's great at taking guys that are average and turning them into really, really good wrestlers. That's how you do it. You slow the pace of the match down, and they do that very, very well as a team. I think the way they've done it through the years is they've slowed it down during the dual meet season, and then once the tournament time comes around, they open it up, meaning they let their guys go free, and it really it works for them because their guys now have confidence in their defense. They have confidence in their riding because they've slowed it down all year. Now you let them go out there and wrestle, and they know they're good at those 2 things, and they can try, they can take chances, and they're pretty successful with it. So we can't let them slow our pace down. At the same time, you got to be able to get away. If our guys are going to get ridden out man for man, we're going to lose that duel, and we're going to lose bad. So we got to be able to get away and just the re-attack, and we have to make sure that we don't let them score off of our offensive attacks.
Will you be working on them hooking your ankles all week?
I don't think they do that as much. I think now, I don't think you have to do that as much anymore. I think years ago you used to hook the ankle because your hips are off to the side and it looks like you're busy. Where nowadays, I think guys, you can actually just ride with a tight waist and you can drop to a leg, and as long as you're attempting to bring back down to the mat, refs are letting it go. So I think it's a lot more than just hooking the ankle at this point. I don't think they do that as much as a team anymore like they used to. The biggest thing is just getting hand control, and when you do get up, making sure you don't let them drop down to your leg, because that's when they really slow down the match. And depending on what you do as wrestlers, depending on how you fight that, it could prolong being down also. So we got to make sure that we're getting hand control. When guys drop down, we're clearing our hips and we're hip icing out of it.
Last thing I've got is, are we going to see Nate Skenesny on your team, or is that something you can't comment on?
I still can't comment on it. I can't comment on it. It's one of those things. I think ultimately, I don't even know what I'm allowed to say there.
So that's just no comment then, I guess?
Yeah, it's a no comment.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't even know where that lies, so
Well, I don't know what the rules are. You can't comment on recruits.
No comment then, I
Yeah.
guess. All right.
Yep.
I just had a couple things real quick. You talked earlier this year to me about, the 2 things you really work on a lot are consistency and intensity. And it seemed like there was a great improvement this weekend as far as intensity. So were you happy with the intensity that you saw out there by the guys?
Yeah, I think on Friday our intensity was good. I thought today our intensity dropped a little bit just because of, the way the match went after Friday. But I'm happy with the way our team has progressed. Like I said, we got 5 brand new guys that have never wrestled for us in our lineup. And yet you look at the new guys that we have at different weight classes, I think it comes up to 7. So we're relatively a young team. We have a lot of young guys that are learning how to do this. So yeah, the intensity was very good on Friday, and today was good enough to win a match.
And going off of having all the young guys on your team that you do, are you pretty excited to see how the team's going to do in the years to come? To see these guys.
I think it's exciting. I think some of the recruits that we have coming in, I think some of the guys that we believe that are going to come to Kent, and along with also Ian Miller and Tyler Small coming back out of redshirt next year. Sam Wheeler, I've seen him wrestle at 174 and I've seen him wrestle at 184. He's probably a much better 184-pounder right now. He's cutting a lot of weight to make it. He's cutting the most on our team. The one good thing is, and which I'm not a fan of, is the one-day MAC tournament. By the time, if he can make it to a placing match at the MAC tournament, he's going to weigh 194, 195, because that's the type of kid he is, which is good for him, bad for the rest of the people he has to wrestle. But, he'll be an 84-pounder. We have some other guys that we can slide in there. We have Colt Baxter on our team that is a 197-pounder. Last year he was considered the number 1 or 2 red shirt in the country. And like I said, he's been wrestling Dustin Kilgore for last year, so he's going to be a good kid that's going to take the place, and we expect big things from him. We expect, Sam Wheeler to move up a weight class, which I think he's a much better 184-pounder just because he doesn't have to cut the weight, and he's an explosive kid, and he's lost a lot of his explosiveness at the 174 weight class. We got a pretty good heavyweight that we're teaching. He's a big, giant kid, and he was number 2 or 3 recruit in the country last year, and he works really hard, and he wants to learn, and he wants to win. So he's a guy that maybe not next year, but down the road, he's going to be a pretty good heavyweight for us. He's big enough to hold for the weight class, too, which is important. Mac McGuire, I'm really happy with. Like I said, we got a lot of progression of a lot of young guys that I'm really excited about.
Do you got another Dustin-type guy that you think can win an NCAA title? You keep talking about Tyler and Ian. Can Tyler and Ian win NCAAs? I
think Ian can. I think Tyler, right now his goal is to be an All-American. Ian, I think both of them could do very well at the national tournament. I think Ian's the explosive wrestler you need to be able to go there and score points. One of the things is everyone's asking why'd you redshirt and why'd you redshirt? Why don't you put him and Kilgore together? And Ian just needs to mature. And I'm talking wrestling mature, but I think you have to mature in life so you can mature in wrestling. And a lot of the things we've done with him this year are just about maturing and in the classroom, in society, in his dorm room when he's by himself, and should he be getting up or could he sleep in? Those types of things he just hasn't figured out yet. And hopefully this year we're letting him know his expectations so he can do those things the right way. So next year we can put him in a position to win. I think maturing as far as knowing what weight class is the best weight class for you. I don't know if 157 is the best weight class for him. Not when you're weighing 153 and weighing in for the Midlands at 57. You're getting up 4 pounds of those guys, and they're probably weighing 175 by the second day. And here Ian is weighing, second day of the tournament, he's weighing 153 still. So he's got to get to the right weight class. And maturity is a big part of what he needs to get better with. And like I said, I think he'd sit here, he'd say the same thing with him. And he's gotten better this year. He's learned a lot. He's learning how to win and he's watching us win and realizing what his expectations are. I've told him, I go, everything we expect of Dustin, we expect from you. So he's figuring that out. Hopefully next year he can translate that into a pretty successful year. Can he be a national champ next year? I think Dustin, there's so few Dustins in this world. Dustin's a Stiebert where, yeah, we expect it. I don't, to say you're going to be the best guy in the country at the end of the year is it's a hard thing to put on somebody. And I think with Dustin we have, just because of his experience and because he won one earlier. But there, it's like Jordan Oliver last year. He won it, and he didn't win a second. He didn't win it again when he came back. So to win it again is a hard thing to do. And so for me to sit here and say Emil's going to be a national champ is a hard thing to say. But I think he has the ability. He knows how to wrestle in that way. It just takes a lot of work, and a lot of the right things have to fall into place.